Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Refracted Curvature, Brian's Logic, Arwin, Adam, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Yeah. As soon as you start talking about that, I think of the tire that AI was talking about, the wheel.
What the hell are you babbling about?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Yeah, hello, live show and all that stuff. Good to have you all. Glad you're all warmed
that's
up.
Why we said live show. I just kept going with the conversation he had.
Hello, Discord. Hello, Johnny. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Feel free to say hello.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad to know you're glad to be here. It's been an enthusiastic start. Or maybe too enthusiastic. Hello, Arthur. Good to have you.
I have to ask Johnny if he's sober first.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone.
Hello, good to have you, Arthur. Okay, let's do some housekeeping. Feel free to join in from Discord. What haven't we had for a while? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
I keep thinking of the wheel that AI was talking about.
No, there is no evidence of self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth. No, absolutely none.
We'd have to deal with this, otherwise Neil will have, like, rumpus Tourette's. What wheel? What are you babbling about?
They were talking about the rotation.
Not you, Brian. Oh my God.
Leave me going here.
It's not even been going 2 minutes. Neil, for the love of Jesus Christ, please inform the audience what wheel you're babbling about.
The one AI brought up when they were having that debate about the plane of reference don't have to be flat or something like that. They were talking about it just now, and Brian knows what I'm talking about. So take over, Brian.
I'll take over with an argument that I had involving a disk, right? That I can stand on a sphere, and at that point, there can be a disk made through the sphere, right? But I am still standing on the edge of the disk and rotating around with the edge. I don't have to stand on the flat surface of the disk. I am still going around in a circle.
That's lovely.
In a sphere, on a sphere. I told you, I've repeated that to you how many times? Are you in a sphere or on a sphere, Brian?
I'm standing on, at that point, I'm standing on a sphere.
No, well, okay, you're standing on the celestial sphere spinning on the outside of it. That's what you just described.
Yeah, I'm describing standing on a sphere. I didn't say anything else other than a sphere. I'm standing on a sphere.
Right, you're standing on the celestial sphere. Right, you're standing on the celestial sphere. You're describing your rotation.
I didn't say celestial. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. Because if you're going to add in words that I haven't used, then how am I supposed to have this conversation?
Well, okay, in his defense...
Neil, this is why I didn't want to have this. I wanted to do what we always do.
Hello? In his defense...
They're forcing it.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to connect it back to the claims of a globe Earth and how they're referenced in discussion. So it's not unreasonable.
He's not.
If you're giving a hypothetical example that is devoid of connection to the globe Earth, then number one, disclaim that. Number two, why? What use is that?
I'm not claiming, I'm talking about a sphere. I can believe that I'm standing on a sphere and rotating. I don't have to invoke a plane for me to believe that I'm standing on a sphere that is rotating.
Okay. Okay, so your rebuttal, okay, let me just get it clear. Your rebuttal is that you can engage in the reification fallacy of standing on a sphere without invoking anything. Yeah, okay. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, but but there you go. I don't invoke. I'm not invoking a plane of reference.
Yes, you are. When you talk about rotation, rotation requires a plane of reference 90 degrees to that rotational axis. That's part of the description of rotation.
No, I'm going to claim I'm standing on a rotating sphere, and then you are placing a plane of reference underneath my feet.
No, stop.
What does it matter?
No. You're doing the same thing. His rebuttal to you, John, is to say, I can engage in the reification fallacy of standing on a rotating sphere without doing anything. Yeah, you can. He's correct. He can just engage in that reification fallacy without invoking anything. As long as he doesn't attempt to describe anything about the rotation to you, he can just fantasize about standing on a rotating ball if he wants to. And he's right. He doesn't have to invoke anything to just reify that notion.
But what do they say? The apparent spin of the stars. So where is your plane of reference to describe that rotation from? Because you do need one.
What did they say? They say that the stars are not moving. We're actually rotating because we're in the non-inertial reference frame, and the stars are the inertial reference frame. So they only appear to rotate due to the Coriolis effect.
So what you've done is you've taken yourself off the sphere, put yourself on the plane of reference, and turned the plane of reference.
Correct.
Why do I have to turn a plane of reference to be on a rotating sphere?
Well, you tell us you did it.
Well, why do I have to be on a plane of reference just to stand on the outside edge of a sphere?
Not quite. Not future tense. Why did you, when you invoked the not actual drift of the stars in Coriolis effect, that ipso facto requires a horizontal plane of reference to describe it. I'll just stand corrected if possible, if necessary. Not horizontal necessarily, just a plane of reference. Correct, John?
Yes, 90 degrees to the axis of rotation. It's part of how you define rotation.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you absolutely require to describe 90 degrees to that reference, which doesn't necessarily have to be horizontal. But you will still need a plane of reference to describe the rotation to infer Coriolis deflection in the stars as you describe it with respect to a plane of reference. You did that, Brian. So you answer us, why did you use a plane of reference?
But I didn't use a plane of reference.
You did.
That's the point.
Yes, you did.
I didn't. Well, Neil can drive around a roundabout near Newark Airport or wherever the hell he was and look up and see an airplane that is appearing to take a curved path.
Yeah.
Right?
And?
He's not 90 degrees to the axis of rotation.
No, because he's not describing anything. He's just seeing something happen. He doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm
attempting to describe
I'm seeing something happen.
Yeah,
I'm seeing something happen.
Okay, heard the first 3 times. I'll try and get the statement out. Yeah, but he can just look at it and see it happening without attempting to describe it. The moment you attempt to describe what he observed to another person, you invoke a reference plane to do so. You did it when you described the claim to be not actual deflection of the stars with respect to a plane of reference. The 90-degree rotational axis that you're describing that not actual deflection with requires a plane of reference that you used. You did. You don't have to like it.
So
can I say something about it?
No, you can wait. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay.
So the Coriolis effect requires a flat plane of reference every time.
Just a rotation. That's John's point, but I'll let him take over.
I invoked the Coriolis effect.
Yes, to answer your question first and foremost, but just rotation. And Coriolis is a description of a rotating, non-inertial, turning reference frame. So that's rotation. So, but regardless of the answer being yes for Coriolis, moreover, and more succinctly and simplistically, just rotation. I'm going to hand back to John. Please don't rumpus him. Go ahead, John.
Right. that's why it's to try to answer your question. Whenever they try to demonstrate Coriolis, have you noticed they always use a flat disk?
I didn't notice anything. I'm asking the question, right? I asked it to you, I asked it to Nathan, and I didn't get an answer, so I'll ask it to you, John. Are you claiming that the Coriolis effect requires me to be standing on a on a flat plane of reference?
Is he still there? I think he's dropped. You can put it to me if you want to.
Can I say something? You forget. They also say at the atmosphere, so-called atmosphere, that's actually more I know that, is rotating with the non-inertia.
Okay, that's not what we're discussing, Johnny.
No.
Okay, that's fine. We're not discussing that, though. Yeah, we're not discussing globiolis. That's not what we're discussing.
Yeah,
we're just discussing rotational axes. That's it. So with respect to Coriolis effect, that in turn has nothing to do with atmosphere at all.
Yeah, I just want to point you out what oxymoron everything is about. That's the answer that we get. Of course, it's about the non-inertia.
Johnny, this is about a separate thing. This is a separate thing from.
But they are saying the atmosphere is rotating with the non-inertia.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they're saying. This is a separate issue from that. That's not what we're talking about.
The reason, okay, I've got to clarify it now because he's brought it up. The reason Johnny's saying that is because anti-flat earthers call what we have defined as globiolis effect Coriolis effect. So they mislabel this description of Earth and atmosphere moving on together to negate Coriolis effect when labeling it as Coriolis effect. So when you're into a wrangle-dangle about Earth turning underneath as a non-inertial turning reference frame to induce not actual deflection of aeroplanes and bullets and footballs, that's the globe Earth claim. But when you point out that doesn't happen, they then have to mitigate for the fact that this drift does not occur. So they start to tell you about how Earth and atmosphere move together. That's not Coriolis effect. But that's what they're saying to...
Yeah.
Thank you. But that's what they're saying to mitigate for the fact we don't observe Coriolis effect. And when they mitigate for the fact we don't observe Coriolis effect because Earth's not turning, they call their mitigation Coriolis effect. Confusing most people. We're trying to, Johnny, keep it separate. For the love of fuck, man, how many times have I got to just say, stop interrupting? You'll know when I've finished because I'll stop. We're trying to keep it separate, Johnny, by only concisely detailing, in this instance, with Brian introducing, to convolute it slightly, the rotational axis describing Coriolis deflection from a frame of reference. Brian's question is, well, can I be on a rotating frame of reference that's sphere-shaped? He hasn't got an answer yet, because John dropped. Well, I can answer him. Yeah, you can be on a globe-shaped roundabout that's got a curve to it. Imagine a roundabout on a kid's playground that's dome-shaped. Can you stand on that and rotate? Yeah, you can, but the minute you describe the axis of rotation for the sphere surface, that will be referenced to the plane of rotation. 90 degrees to it being the axis, and the curve that goes between your axis on that kid's roundabout and the plane that's referenced if describing it is still a prerequisite, Brian. You used it. It doesn't matter if the surface curves on that kid's roundabout, it's no longer a flat plane boards on a circular cut so you can stand flat. You have to sit on your back with your back arched against a curved surface. It doesn't matter. The rotation of that curved surface as a ball, as you have asked, still requires the prerequisite description from a plane of reference. It's about the 12th time, but you want to brace against this. Now's your opportunity. I have finished.
What I want to brace against is the forcing of this argument upon me when I don't think it's always relevant. That's what I'm bracing against, Nathan. Right? You will do your best to leave John as much time on. You do your best to leave John as much time as possible to talk, right? And I've listened to you. You have a bias when it comes to this argument. You think it's absolutely ace. I don't. I knew the Earth was a flat plane in 2015. Knew, not believed, knew. And I knew then they have to use a flat plane for absolutely everything they want to claim. Yes, I understand that. But that doesn't mean that I can just continually bring up this, oh, you're going to get flat Earth for that. That is, I don't need to continually bring that up. Or if you want to continually bring it up and John brings it up, fine. I don't need to always do that.
And
I
thank you.
Forced into doing it.
I thank you for bracing against it so it can be refined into its correct position in this discussion. However, you had the same exact attitude when I explained about sucking the air out of a vacuum and the weight that would be induced. You know, it took ages to massage you into accepting it. Now you've taken it as your own bloody argument.
No, I haven't. The point is with that argument. Let me go with that argument.
You're all keen to go through this argument now. You braced against it when I put it to you 2 weeks ago.
Let me ask you a question then. Right? How come you didn't embrace that argument like you're embracing John's argument?
Because I didn't understand it.
Well, I suppose I can't get out of that then.
You were not understanding it. I tried to summarise it, right? So we were on one of the live shows. You went through it, and everyone braced against you. It was the same scenario. That's why I brought it up, ironically, with me being the claimant, not you. But irony aside, for comedic effect, that was the same scenario. Everyone was bracing against you. Now, not suggesting that it's because you don't understand this, Brian. That is not what I'm suggesting when I juxtapose my ignorance in that regard. But on one of the live shows, I admirably demonstrated my ignorance in that regard. Because you've gone through it, everyone's arguing and trying to shut you down and convoluting the point. That's why I blamed them. Like, it's because everyone else was interrupting, Brian. If it had been concise and succinct and I could have just listened, I'd have got it. Now, that's probably not true because you've gone through it half a dozen times prior and I still haven't got it. But regardless of my defence, I tried to summarise it and failed miserably 3 times with you just getting more and more wound up. No, it would weigh more. Right, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rotation business.
Go on,
It'd only be 90 degrees on the equator. Every other point would require a separate, different plane.
No, it would not. The axis itself. No, that's wrong.
For example,
that's incorrect.
On the 45th, on the 45th latitude, you would be at 45 degrees. Your plane that you generate at the 45th latitude would be at 45 degrees to the point of rotation. At the poles, you'd be on the same plane as the point of rotation.
Yeah, the point of rotation, which requires a plane to describe it. It's the axis. When you say you're 45 degrees with respect to it. Therefore, ergo, it's a prerequisite. It must have a plane to describe it.
No, the ball doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It just requires a coordinate system. There's no plane applicable to the ball in 3D space.
Give me a coordinate system that hasn't come from a plane.
No, it doesn't. No. You can make a plane on a coordinate system, but the coordinate system isn't necessarily a plane. It's just a coordinate system.
But it will be in this example, always.
No.
Give me one that isn't.
I take a ball and I stick it in a 3D XYZ coordinate system.
I hate this. You immediately take it to a ball that isn't the ball we debate. Some conceptual ball that isn't a ball we're going to...
I can take your Earth ball. I'm taking your Earth, then.
Give me a coordinate system that... my original question stands. Give me a coordinate system that hasn't come from a flat plane in that regard.
XYZ.
That's just XYZ. That doesn't mean anything in terms of the discussion that we're talking about.
I'm describing the rotation of the Earth using XYZ coordinates.
Then you'll need a plane of reference to describe the axis, to have it rotating about.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you will.
I need a line.
What? Okay.
I need a line.
That line's the plane of reference. Okay, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Sorry, go ahead.
I need a line for the ball to rotate around. I don't need a plane. I just need an XYZ line from coordinates XYZ1 to XYZ2. That will then define my line of rotation.
I'm not following this.
I know I'm not bracing against it to be an arse. I'm bracing against it because I don't agree with the first premise.
Well, you are a mathematician, so strictly speaking, you must be right.
No, I don't have to be, but I
just winding Brian up.
I don't
It's a
see
joke.
why. I don't see why I have to invoke this plane initially. There's no mathematical reason for me to invoke a plane. I have to invoke a coordinate system, of course, to be able to describe it. If all I'm describing is a ball rotating,
Because it's part of the definition of rotation.
Yet.
Because it's part of the definition of rotation.
What is?
The plane of reference that it's going to be described with respect to.
No, that's only when I get onto the surface of the ball in reality and I want to describe the movement of the stars from the surface.
The action or process of rotating on, or as if on, an axis or center. The act or instance of rotating something, one complete turn, the angular displacement required to return a rotating body or figure to its original orientation.
If you take an X, Y, Z coordinate system and you place a sphere within it, then you're going to have the axis through the center of that sphere, the Z axis through the center of that sphere, and you're going to have the XY plane through the other across the halving it. Let's just say, right?
Done.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, but,
John, well, that's John's point proven, isn't it?
On
hold on, stop. Can't you stop at that point where it makes John's point to Adam?
Okay.
Well, there's John's point proven, isn't it, Adam?
Just say it again for me, Brian.
Yeah, if you're going to place a sphere into an XYZ coordinate system, then the Z axis is going to be straight through the center in a vertical orientation. Let's just say.
No, it doesn't. No.
Let him
reject. I want to hear the object. Hold on, Brian. He's heard it. He's got enough. I want to hear him reject. Go ahead.
Go on, Adam. Yeah.
Not if we're describing the Earth rotating, then the line of axial rotation will be 23.5 degrees off of that, intersecting into the. That's why I said you've got to describe
off of
it
what?
As XYZ1.
Off of what?
XY.
Stop, please,
Z2.
I beg of you. Off of what? 23 point whatever degrees. Off what? The plane of reference.
No.
Yeah.
Off that axis.
The axis is with respect
a line.
to a plane of reference, though, isn't it? That's how you're going to describe the degrees of it.
No.
How do you describe the degrees of it then?
I've not got a plane. I've not drawn a plane yet. I've not invoked a plane yet. I've invoked a ball and a line. I don't need a plane yet.
When you say a ball and a line, you've got to have all three axes to describe the ball if you're going to have it three-dimensional. Yes. So you can't just have a ball and a line. What do you mean? You've got an axis.
No, I've got a ball that I've described in my X, Y, Z coordinates. And through that ball, I'm going to draw an imaginary line, the line of rotation that the ball is going to rotate around. Yes, now, in the case of the Earth, I'm not going to just stick it through the X-axis or Y-axis like Brian suggests. I'm going to have to angle it to meet that same way in which the supposed Earth's rotation is. It's offset to 23.5 degrees. So my line would stick out in a positive way on the X-axis, a negative way on the Y-axis, and can be independent on the Z. But that's then going to describe that line in the X, Y, Z coordinates of which the ball will rotate around.
Positive in the X and negative in the Y, still with respect to the Z axis, which is a plane.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's an axis. It's not a plane at all.
Perpendicular to the axis in your coordinate system is a plane.
No, you can invoke one there if you want.
It's already there in the coordinate system. What are you talking about?
There isn't a plane. Unless you draw one, all we've got is a ball and a line.
So in respect to Earth, not describing anything, just the musings and imaginings and reifications of a ball with an axis drawn through it, and I just reify the imaginings of a ball, but do have the fantasy of an axis drawn through it in this very specific scenario, then you win because no plane is invoked. Oh, well, kudos.
No. There is, even if the Earth ball was real, there is no pole sticking through it. It's only an imaginary line of axial rotation.
Yeah, perpendicular to a plane.
No, it's not perpendicular to anything.
The axis of rotation will be described perpendicular to a plane.
Around the line.
You've got a three-dimensional system to describe that, and you've got an axis. Axis to what?
An axis to the ball. That's what the axis is for.
And it's going to rotate. And it's going to rotate about that axis with respect to a plane.
It's not with respect to a plane. It's with respect to nothing. It's with respect to the actual rotation.
Yeah, and the axis
I have to kind of agree with Nathan here, Adam, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because the line that's going to come from the center out to your feet at 45 degrees latitude, right? That line that will be touching your feet and going through your head and become your zenith, right? That line will be with respect to a horizontal plane. That's the way it's pointing from a central point.
No, that's not where he went yet. I don't want. He's not going to get that, Adam. Yeah,
okay.
He hasn't gone there yet.
I'm messing things up. I'm sorry.
He hasn't gone there yet. He hasn't got me there yet. He's just got me with a ball. It could be Earth, though, right, Adam? But just with a line drawn through it with an axis, and he's just going to describe how it spins around it, like if it's got a toffee apple on a stick and he spins it.
No, I'm not. I'll go back to the Earth. I'll forget the ball. Every time I'll use Earth then. So we've got this imaginary line of rotation that the Earth's spinning around. Because it's not really spinning on a pole. Yeah. It's just rotating around this line.
Yeah, I got that.
That's coming out the top, like Brian's talking about his zenith. Those two lines aren't the same. At every latitude on that ball where you're going to take your measurements from, you're going to create a separate plane to take your measurement with respect to now.
Yeah.
On the surface?
On the surface. Now you're going to come to it. Now you've got your ball. You've set that bit up where no plane was involved. Now to relate your real world measurements to your supposed rotating ball, you're now going to have to set up a plane of reference on the surface of that ball to make your measurements from reality have some kind of relationship to this spinning, rotating ball. So you say I'm at the 45th latitude. That's where I draw my plane of reference on the ball. That's the first plane I've invoked.
No, because that plane will be with respect to the axis, and that axis has a perpendicular to it that's a plane described in your coordinate system.
No, it doesn't.
You've got a degrees off that axis to describe where you fantasize you're going to make your plane from, which you can't get anyway. But that isn't where you're going, so I'm not going to take you there. But regardless, that plane that you draw out on the surface of the sphere that couldn't be acquired is going to be detailed with respect to its angle to the axis, perpendicular to the plane.
No, it's not. It's not. So when you create your sphere there, your plane of reference on the surface of your sphere, your point of rotations, that's not relevant.
Well, you're going to describe the axis. It is absolutely relevant. You've already got it ascribed and describable within a coordinate system for it to be an axis. Therefore, one of those axes is going to be a plane to describe it on.
No.
I have to say, I don't really understand what you're talking about. I will ask you.
Adam, if you're going to put your money on it,
I really want to ask you, Adam. If I can ask you, Adam, if you're in a high altitude in airplane, you have a coordinate system. Yes, you can draw a line and you can get it right for your flying route. But what about the reference frame to the ground? It has to be flat. Really, it has to be if the coordinate system will have. If you really. Yeah, so it can work.
Yes, you're correct. But I did, as I said earlier, I don't. Although he's not necessarily invoking the inability for a glober to get a plane of reference when he's on a claim to be curved surface. That's not what Adam's describing. He's just saying, well,
yeah, but Adam is saying he can draw a line and in the altitude, and maybe in the high altitude, he can make some kind of coordination with that. But I'm not agree with Adam, so I really want to ask him. What about the reference frame to the ground? What's your answer?
Tell him you'll need a flat earth so we can get back to it, Adam.
Yeah, that is the second point, and that's where So all I'm saying is I can't see how I can invoke it, and I can't see the argument myself. So the people are confident, don't use it. But for me, I couldn't argue that because it's not how I'm seeing it. As soon as we get to taking a measurement of the stars, we have to invoke a flat plane, because the way in which we're going to describe that position of the star is with respect to the flat plane we generate, either on a flat Earth or as a tangent on a ball. That's when we need the flat plane to make the star's position have reference to that flat plane we've made.
Okay, well, do you want to hear my cognitive break is where every example I can envisage ever happening has a diagrammatical example of a globe Earth talking about how the stars work. Now, you're taking it to a place where, no, you've just got this simplistic example that doesn't require a plane of reference to describe an axis or a ball. Just a line and a ball is all that's required. But I have a mental break there because I can't picture a scenario where that's an argument they can take without taking me to a hypothetical example that isn't Earth. And you can say, well, I can if I just take it to Earth and just do it in that manner. But I go, well, where's the practical application for them to be making that stance so that it's so devoid of any connection that they can get away with it as you have?
There isn't.
I would also say,
Let me Adam answer. He wants to defend this.
I only want to defend not using this argument at this initial stage of the debate. So I wouldn't use it at that point, because I think mathematically you can make a reasonable argument, that there isn't a plane there at this point. It's only when I'm looking at so they're talking about Coriolis or stars, whatever they're doing. As soon as we go to a measurement of a celestial, that's when I have to have a flat plane of reference.
Okay.
And that's when I'm
Hold on, Johnny.
Yeah? Does that make sense, Nathan? I don't want to use it. I can't use it. Honestly, I can't see how I can justifiably use it in that first bit. But the second that I'm on the surface of that ball and I want to take a measurement, I have to invoke a flat plane. Have to.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll hear more about it from refractive curvature.
That's the. I go after Johnny.
I was going to say, you go.
I just want to point out to Adam that you have to take in the stars and everything is moving, and all the time you have to take the time and calculate it. And if you don't do that, then you will not get. You cannot use it as a coordinate system without calculation. And I will tell you. And you are taking in the stars and that. You don't need to do it, just like Nathan Oakley was saying. So the only thing that you really need is a reference plane, a flat plane. Then everything will work. Therefore, everything is working. You can really assume this flat around, then it will go. But it will work. Why do you think it will work? Because it is so. And if you're taking in the star and the celestial bodies and so on, then you're talking about something that is moving, is changing, and also maybe apparent.
Agreed. And I don't want to decry that. That's a worthy point to demonstrate your understanding of. And Adam would agree. But at that point is where Adam would suggest that we do get into the wrangle-dangle of saying you're going to need a flat Earth for it because it's been invoked past tense, as opposed to the moment they suggest axial rotation of any description, to suggest at that stage that you're going to need a flat plane for that. Adam suggests it's premature. If I'm summarising his position correctly, Adam, am I?
No, yeah. I don't oppose. Premature is the exact correct word. Yeah.
Sorry, Adam.
Well, for me, I don't know if you view it like that, right? But just for me, that particular argument, that's how I would address it. Because my most devastating point, they haven't got a get out. In my mind, then, when I bring up that flat plane, they're destroyed. There is no wrangle-dangle.
Okay. I mean, I object because I'm lazy. And I just see a shortcut that's being covered over and bushes planted there, and I can't take the shortcut no more. That frustrates me.
No, Nathan, let me clear it up, right? Let me clear this up. Adam is correct, right? Because before they take a measurement, they're dealing with their belief, right? But when they must take a measurement, they must address reality. and
I like
that's
that.
when they need a flat plane.
I get that. No, that makes
Yeah,
sense
but
in my
this
mind.
is the nuance. This is the nuance you don't like, but it's right. So while they're in their belief, they're not invoking anything other than their own belief.
No,
it's when
I
they
totally
address
get that.
reality.
That's why I was getting frustrated. He's talking about globe Earth. Now, in my mind, where I'm arguing with Adam in this devil's advocate position, I'm saying, well, therefore, Adam's position must be that he genuinely believes that is the world he's standing on. Therefore, when he says it, it's not a hypothetical, just a globe with an axis through it that he can describe in his belief about the world. Your point, Brian, he's not invoking anything at that point. It's not referencing anything. So it's unreasonable to say you will need a flat Earth to reference. He hasn't referenced anything yet, right? He's just stuck in his belief at this point. At which point I can nod him on, right? Yeah, and? Yeah, that's a fascinating belief. And? What's that got to do with the world I actually inhabit? Your religious rhetoric. The moment he starts talking about things we experience in reality, you're damn straight he's going to need a flat Earth for that, and that's the point to invoke it. No, good job.
Yes.
I'm glad I'm clear on that now. You feel stupid when you don't get something quite fully. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted to thrash it out. I don't mind, for my audience's benefit, being that ignorant guy in this regard. If you don't get something, you don't get something. I've got no lack of humility anymore. You know, the amount of stuff that you get wrong and you get browbeaten over. It's like, yeah, I don't care. I'd rather be the example.
I'm only taking my opinion on my understanding. I'm not citing any maths textbook. Yeah, I'm going on what I understand it and how I would build that and how I would describe it. If somebody wants to pull out and say, when you create a sphere in a coordinate system, you automatically invoke. There are planes there, but they're not related to the thing you've invoked. But if someone wants to demonstrate, I'll quite happily say I'm wrong. I've got no problem with it. Just genuinely, if I was arguing it, I couldn't argue that point because I can't invoke the plane in my own mind at that point in that part of the fantasy. And the way Brian describes it is correct. It's when you go to. I said it's when you take a measurement, and Brian says it's when you go to reality. It's the same inference, but it's as soon as you try to invoke it to reality, it's then you've got to invoke your flat plane just to give that measurement a reference. What's it reference to? It's always going to be, and we know that they're referenced to flat planes. That's how they're described.
That's
wonderful.
Right.
I'll agree. I'll concede.
Right
at this point, I'll concede because unless you're invoking anything in physical reality, which is what we're discussing, it's unreasonable to hold them to task on their beliefs. When I'm sure you can find plenty of quotes from me saying you're entitled to believe whatever you like. So no, you're not invoking a flat plane when you've got your little fantasy and you can describe a rotation value. No worries, you're not going to need a flat plane for that, and it'd be unfair at that stage to do so. I can just hand wave it though, can't I? So what that you believe this?
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they say 15 degrees per hour or orbit or anything like that would involve calculation based off of a measurement, then, right? Because as soon as they invoke anything that involves an initial measurement, then that initial measurement always started on a horizontal plane.
Perfect.
That's the only, no matter what that
we'll leave it at that.
They are invoking.
Yeah, no, well, that's absolutely perfect ending to this, unless we've got some more to add, or more is to be added by refracted curvature, who may disagree with the first premise that I've conceded, because he might not agree. Not that I was speaking on his behalf. It'll be we if suddenly, he gets the victory. In the meantime, John could be wrong.
I guarantee he disagrees.
Well, we'll find out on a later show, won't we? We'll leave it as a cliffhanger in that regard. But I feel more learned thanks to mostly Brian's last statement, but to summarise all of what Adam has just gone through, a painstaking effort to do so. Thank you, both of you. Right, we're going to move on, though. So today we're going to cover...
But we keep on with the housekeeping.
We did do housekeeping. I asked about molten iron core, and then we've just moved back onto axial rotation in light of yesterday's show. So, we've done a bit of housekeeping. Couple of day, John. Couple of day.
Okay. Let me ask a question, Nathan. This is something I was thinking about.
You're not the boss.
When Wolfie, just on the Coriolis effect, because you mentioned the Coriolis effect because of the video you trimmed out from yesterday's show. Remember when Wolfie said, and people incorrectly say that they're correcting for the Coriolis. Correcting for Coriolis, right? They don't even reference the word effect or force. They just say they're correcting for Coriolis. This kind of nonsense. And it's rampant throughout the world that people, like, within different disciplines, say this nonsense. The only question really is important would be if a pilot, let's take Wolfie of it, just a pilot, thinks that he's correcting for Coriolis, right? Or wants to make some outlandish claim that he's correcting for Coriolis when he knows he never corrects for anything like that, right? He or she, just like that lady yesterday said that Coriolis is the cause of hurricanes, even though she's a meteorologist and knows that's not what creates hurricanes, right? When someone says that, like, you must ask them, right? What about, like, ask them, are they correcting for the apparent rotation of the stars above them? Let's just take that from the pilot. Use it, Wolfie, even. Are you correcting? Are you saying you're correcting for the apparent rotation of the stars above you? Because at that point, you're bringing them back into how Coriolis, the Coriolis effect, actually how it actually applies to their belief system.
Right.
Because
so
that's where it
back
applies in their head.
In other words, the moment you've got them to claim actual deflection that they'd need to correct for in a plane, you time back to the deflection that's not actual in their Earth turning paradigm with the stars. Clever.
So they have to correct for the stars.
Yeah, clever. I like it, Brian. Right, I'm just going to do a quick shout out to members who get to watch this video before anybody else. I have trimmed out the majority section of the Coriolis discussion as we're going through it now from yesterday's show. Who was it that gave me the idea that I should be putting a more sexy thumbnail together and coming up with a clickbait title? Who gets credit for that? Was that you that gets credit? Okay, well, Brian gets credit.
Whatever.
Brian gets credit for the thumbnail. Not that he made it, but you know what I mean, for the notion.
I bloody made it.
No, not that thumbnail.
Oh.
The thumbnail that's going to be on this video I'm about to tell you about that I haven't told you about yet, so you don't know. So, if you're a member, you can check out the latest video, which took me a whole bunch of time to edit. But fortunately, I'm not tweaking computers on a daily basis, so I can actually do this editing, which I'm very pleased about, if nothing else. Anyway, but the title is Cute Coriolis Scientists Ruined TKOR Pancake, Simon Dan and Matt Learn's Balls Smashed. So that's for members only currently, and I'll release it in a few days when the members have all watched it. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, it's got her lying on a pancake in a very provocative manner with Dan and Matt Learns sort of looking on at you in the audience with the word ruined in massive letters. As I say,
don't let Kiwi see it.
On pancakes provocatively.
Just on that topic.
No, it wasn't a topic.
Yes.
Pancakes, not topics.
Topping. So no, on Coriolis, just watch this. Is it up for the audience? It's 3 seconds of yesterday's thing, but it's going to be a rotating Earth. Notice the 2 reference frames in the graphics. Watch how the Earth rotates underneath the clouds. You ready?
What are you saying? That it isn't demonstrating the clouds rotating underneath?
I'm saying it's showing what the opposite of what they claim. They claim they've got a lockstep atmosphere. No, those clouds are static and the Earth's rotating underneath. Watch. Look. If I've been bothered to model that, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. This is Globiolis. We're back onto this, I suppose. We've
no,
done enough.
This isn't Globiolis.
No, this isn't. No.
This is what Coriolis would be if you lived on a ball. That's what should be happening. The Earth rotating underneath the cloud. Look at the speed. Yeah, that's how it should be. The cloud's static in their world. They've bothered to describe it there how Coriolis should be, not Globiolis. Because Globiolis, it's lockstep.
Yeah, well, if the cloud was moving, there has to be two separate rotations or 2 separate movements. Can't be just the cloud moving, which is what we observe, which is Adam's point. Whereas
the cloud's not moving here. in this. The cloud doesn't move.
In
Look,
that,
keep the
yes.
cloud static in there and rotate the Earth underneath the cloud.
I'm going to get ahead of the game. Do you think you can keep this conversation going for another 3 minutes while I make a cup of coffee? Because we are definitely going to have a long live show today. Because what are we? 46 minutes into this live stream and we haven't even got to the video yet. I like to start the video about half an hour mark. I tried 3 times. We're still on Coriolis. It's fine. It's fine. But can I get a coffee? Can you keep the conversation going?
Yeah.
Or will I be sprinting back in for the kitchen?
Absolutely.
You can. Good.
Yeah.
As long as you stop asking. Oh, yeah. So that was one point. Hey, up, Chop. That was one point. Man? And we went over this last night, didn't we, as well, on QE Live. And as I said on there, I wouldn't have been so nice yesterday on this if I'd have known she actually holds a degree in meteorology. So for her yesterday to claim that cyclones, hurricanes are caused by Coriolis means she's taken on this bullshit argument from anti-flat earthers in a very weak research and must have had to ignore her university training on the subject to make the statement she made with regards to this video.
Yeah, she did a Wolfie. When Wolfie said he corrects for Coriolis, knowing that he never ever was taught to correct for anything even remotely like that in his training. So his whole pilot's career was thrown out the window while he was making that claim. She did the same thing because you can't make a claim that Coriolis is, without even referencing whether you're claiming an effect or a force, is creating a hurricane and still be a meteorologist. You know what I mean? It shows.
Was this homegirl from yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday's video?
Yeah.
She made claims about Coriolis.
She did, but
she did a co-show.
Yeah, exactly. She made the co-show.
She didn't do a co-show. Co-show said hurricanes move in straight lines, 100%. She didn't do that. Please tell me she didn't do that.
Yeah. So we're laughing, but not knowing that somebody, I think it was LVO Paul's, looked her up and found out she is actually, when she said she was a scientist, scientist like me, she holds a science degree but it's in meteorology. I said to QE last night, it's like somebody asking me advice on tablets and me saying, put them up your bum. Yeah. This goes against every bit of training you've had to make those statements. You've got to go against the things you learned at degree level in a meteorology degree to make the statements she made to support a rotating, spinning Earth using Coriolis and how it creates weather patterns.
Yeah, you don't insert aspirins into your ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you to tell me that you insert aspirins into your ear, while me seeing that you're a pharmacist, has to be a red flag moment. You know what I mean? Well, what are you trying to? What rhetoric are you trying to insert over the top of what you already know and are trained and work as? You know what I mean? How much of your own career do you have to? What's the word I'm looking for? Do you have to sacrifice to make some ridiculous claim that supports a narrative that you believe in? And that's what she did.
Compromise.
Well, unless in a final year paper when they were talking about pressure systems and how the formation of cyclones, she just wrote, "It's because the Earth rotates underneath." I just can't imagine.
Remember why Kosho made that statement, right? Because I asked him, why do hurricanes, which are usually depicted from the inertial reference frame, aka their little high altitude, quote unquote, satellite pictures, right? Why do they appear to be rotating from there when supposedly, if it's Coriolis, that would be a rotation or a drift you would see from the non-inertial reference frame. That would be the ground. So why do they appear to be rotating from the air? And his response to that was, well, hurricanes move in a completely straight line, right? Because he knows that this apparent deviation is supposed to be seen from the ground. But when it's seen from the air, which is what they show us all the time, and it's rotating, why is that happening? if that's a rotation that you see from the ground.
Exactly.
So what are you saying? She did the same thing?
Well,
don't
no,
think
she
she
didn't
made it
even
that
do that
obvious.
much. Sure, she didn't, Adam. She didn't even do that much. She just went with Coriolis creates hurricanes without it, because she doesn't actually see. Kosho was after learning what the Coriolis effect was, or some semblance of it, via QE and yourself and other people who were on Discord and on here, on Nathan. So people were after learning. She doesn't have a clue what the Coriolis effect is. She's just making this absurd claim that stands in the face of her whole career.
Right. She was saying because of the Earth turn, that's why we have the hurricane spinning. So I thought it was exactly what. So she's claiming that if Earth wasn't turning, they'd be moving in a straight line.
Yeah, but she's not.
Also,
she's not even.
Also, excuse me, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Also, the FD people also have a problem with it. They don't understand really what Coriolis is, because they are listening to the globalists talking about Coriolis as a force.
Really?
And trying to say, oh, it cannot be this and that because of north and south and so. So there's many FD people that is buying into it. Coriolis is a force. People don't really understand that. The Coriolis is just a name of a Frenchman that gave explanation of effect from non-inertia and inertia. If you're on the non-inertia frame, then everything inertia will be, that is moving, will look like it is bending, but it's going straight, really. So we are talking about illusion. We are talking about illusion effect. Has nothing to do with force, but it's a real effect. If the Earth is rotating, then we will see all these effects, Coriolis effect, in the sky, the airplanes or whatsoever, drone, everything, the star also, because you are on the rotating reference frame that we call non-inertia. And if everything is in inertia, that is away from the rotating frame, that is the Earth that is rotating. And if you're standing on the rotating frame, everything that you're looking at above in the sky will take a bending path because of it. So it has nothing to do with force, nothing at all. So, but if you look at it on Google, then you can see different clarification of it. And 3 years ago, it was the right answer to it. But now it's a lot of confusing fucking answers that has nothing to do with it. So that people and actually people really have to understand a Coriolis is just an illusion. It's an optical illusion effect because of you are rotating. But the Earth is not rotating, and we are not getting this effect. Therefore, the Earth is not rotating. That's so simple like that. Has nothing to do with hurricanes, has nothing to do with toilets or whatsoever.
Just let him. Johnny is. Let me give him credit. Right, every word that Johnny just said was spot on. Kudos.
Yeah, Johnny understands the Coriolis.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. This is a name they've given to an illusion, right? And that's not coming from us. That's coming from their own side. It's an illusion, and they want to tell us that this illusion is creating.
It is a real effect. Yeah, I would say the Coriolis, the man that was telling us about this effect, he's a mathematician, he was just telling us we will see it like that because we are rotating. But we are not seeing anything like that because we are not rotating. Finito.
Yeah, you almost just give him more props. He almost it was a bit sloppy, but he almost formed that into a logical consistency, which was to say, if the Earth was turning as they assert, we'll see a Coriolis deflection as they assert, and we don't see any Coriolis deflection. Therefore, we have no proof of Earth turning.
Therefore, not rotating.
Yeah.
We would see it everywhere, wouldn't we?
You'll have to yield now, I'm afraid, Johnny.
Thank you.
just you'll have to.
I am finished.
Fair enough.
Sorry. You can say.
We'll get an order together. Please stop. It's audio chaos. You have to stop then. Thank you. Go ahead, Neil.
Thank you.
Got it. All I said was it would be demonstrated everywhere if Earth was turning. Everything that left the Earth would be showing a deviation, and it doesn't. End the story.
Yeah, like Johnny said.
Yeah, but it took me 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, aren't you fantastic?
There's something else I want to bring up off that video yesterday. Just a side point. I wasn't watching it when you were playing it, because just like right now, Nathan, I won't see the video you're playing because I'm on Discord on my phone. But on QEs, I was looking at it. I was listening back to QEs, and they played the part where she said, if this sailboat, the little bar, the little nutrition bar she had with the little sail, if that would have to get smaller, but it doesn't. It just goes over a curve, right? She kind of denied. She denied whether she was intentionally doing it or not. She was denying perspective. But then she showed this thing due to the focal length of her camera. She showed this little nutrition bar, and she moved it to the end of her table. But what happened was, just at the point where she edited it, just at that point, if she moved it another inch, it would have amalgamated into the background almost, because it became difficult to see, right? Which is the whole point. Is it gone over a curve of a globe out, or has it become unresolvable to see? You know what I mean? And this is the thing. And at that exact point, she said, she went, it only works if it goes over a basketball, kind of nonsense. But in her video, she actually shows this nutrition bar starting to amalgamate with the background, which is what happens. So she said, look, it doesn't work. I'm showing it to work. Like the ballers have done 1,000 times.
We did notice it on this show. I said hashtag shit shrinks when she did this.
I pointed out that she had the camera positioned in such a way, i.e. too high above the table to not allow a limitation to the angles to the deck. Look, you can see all the way to the end of the table and past it. So she set the camera up high up on a mountain instead of on the beach looking at a boat. So she will see it for a lot longer. It would happen. She just needs a longer table.
Yeah.
That high.
But even as she is now, if you remove her out of the equation, you'd have to squint. Even if you make it bigger, you have to kind of squint to make out the little sailboat thing she made.
Yeah, the bottom of the chocolate bar is nowhere near as...
Yeah, it's not as resolvable. No.
Is it? Oh, look at the detail. You can see it all. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very 2015. You know, people from the flat earth side being nice and low with the table and sliding a coin till the bottom disappears. Her, metaphorically up a mountain, as you put it, sliding it away, just showed the same thing. She's like, what are you doing? I don't know. She's had a little nose into the subject and just, she just seems out of her depth.
Well, what's interesting is she tried to not. This is the sort of problem I had with the ballers over and over again. Some of them, in fairness, didn't understand what I was trying to detail when it came to optical drop. But the ones that did understand or half understand it, what I dealt with that effect and other effects, they did their best to set up demonstrations that were in opposition to a demonstration I might do or whoever. And they do their best to set up a demonstration that set up the fail. So it's not an honest demonstration, as Adam was pointing out yesterday. So they're setting up the demonstration to fail. So she tried to set up a demonstration to fail, right? But it didn't. It actually started succeeding, right? But because her demonstration was not analogous to reality. You must scale it to reality. And if you don't scale it to reality, you can't make the claim that it's not working.
Okay, we're going to have to end up doing the video that Paul has got intended for today tomorrow. I'm sure he's now feeling our 10th man generally feels. But he's even done a thumbnail for today's show, but there's no point because we didn't cover it. So what we have covered all day today is that TKOR or whatever she's called, her channel name. Subscribe today if you want to go and check her out. I'm not going to put a link. We didn't really cover enough of a video to do such a call to action to ask her to, check us out and leave comments and likes and shares and subscribes on our video as a result of us commenting. But we're just reacting or responding or regurgitating even some of the stuff that we covered yesterday. So I don't know if Adam's going to be willing to...
One thing before you finish, Nathan.
I'm nearly done. I don't know if Adam's going to be willing to produce a thumbnail for today's show that's got 2005 with a pretty face on it to attract people to this particular live stream, because that's all we've talked about. But just before, I'm nearly done, right? Paul has done a thumbnail for today, but it just won't get used. So the 2005 show that this is won't be about Tyler Olivero or Oliveria. That'll be tomorrow's show, so that'll be 2006, because we're like right up on the hour now. It seems silly to start that. But yes, I'm done now, Brian. Go ahead. My bad. No,
it's my bad, because I meant to say this earlier. Remember when Kiwi said he went to the comment section of our video, and she had pinned a comment concerning you and your our video yesterday, your video, but where we were responding to her video, right? I went in and looked a few hours later, and it was gone. Now, someone can look again, I don't know, but it wasn't there when I went in. She had a pinned comment, and it wasn't referencing your video. So you tell me.
Yes, he probably listened and heard.
Yeah, and took it away.
And on that cliffhanger, I'm going to say, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Promo Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!